ඔෆිස් එකේදී විතරක් නෙවෙයි මම දැන් ගෙදරදීත් IDD calls ගන්න SLT phone එකේ.
ඔබේ නිවසේ SLT දුරකථනය දැන් IDD පහසුකම සහිතයි.
Good evening tonight. A free Sri Lanka. 9 years on, the country remembers its fallen war heroes as May 18th marked the end of a 3-decade-long conflict. Beyond the conflict, former Defence Secretary says sacrifice should not go to waste, calls for true peace, while former military commanders remembers the humanitarian mission.
I am satisfied and humble that I was able to plan, conduct, command these war heroes during the final battle.
I urge the population of this country and the government to look after the families of those who made the supreme sacrifice.
Unified voice. Politicians expressed displeasure over recent comments by Cabinet spokesperson Minister Rajitha Senaratne on the Victory Day celebrations. Brace for inclement weather. Thunder showers and heavy winds threaten to wreak havoc across several provinces in the country.
Ampara district, the Rambukanoya reservoir rised very high and it came closer to the full supply level.
And in international headlines, placed in peril. Police seize hundreds of boxes of luxury items and foreign currency from properties linked to Malaysia's ex-Prime Minister Najib Razak. Today is a special day for all of us as Sri Lankans. It's the day that earned us freedom. It's the day that fear itself was conquered. Each and every one of us remembers the time and place where we stood when we heard the news of one of the world's most ruthless terrorist leaders being killed. I was in a bus traveling home, and when the news came on the radio, everyone in the bus started to clap, knowing very well that finally it was over. Tonight, that's where we begin our coverage. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mahesh Johnny. In our lead story tonight, the entire country went into a frenzy when they heard that the leader of the LTTE, Velupille Prabhakaran, was killed and the war is therefore over. This heralded a new chapter for the country, which had been battered and bruised with a 3-decade-long war at an exorbitant cost of life. Now, still after 9 years, the country is treading on a path towards reconciliation, intent on healing the wounds of conflict.
The cloud of terrorism started to lift its grotesque head in Sri Lanka with the assassination of Alfred Durayappa, the former mayor of Jaffna, on the 27th of July in 1975. It was in this backdrop that the liberation tigers of Tamil Eelam exploited the raw wounds and broken trust between the Sinhala and Tamil communities emanating from the riots dubbed the Black July in the early 80s following the murder of 13 members of the military by the LTTE. In order to portray a negative image of the government and country's armed forces internationally, the LTTE claimed the authorities are engaged in communal violence and thus attempted to justify their leader Velupille Prabhakaran's ultimate dream of a separate state. The very concept of sovereignty and territorial integrity were consistently threatened and undermined by the LTTE, which claimed thousands of lives and left millions disabled over the years. Senior politicians, Tamil leaders, journalists and members of his own clan who opposed his separatist goals were mercilessly assassinated by the brutal leader, the self-proclaimed liberator of the Tamil people. Proving their intolerance of other religions, Prabhakaran's loyal disciples carried out attacks targeting the most sacred of Buddhist sites, including the temple of the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha in Kandy, Sri Mahabodhi in Anuradhapura and the Kathankudi Mosque. In their attempt to weaken the country's economy, the LTTE attacked the Bandaranaike International Airport, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka and the fuel storage complex in Kolonnawa. By the time Mahinda Rajapaksa took office as the country's president, LTTE had managed to establish itself as one of the most strategic and powerful terrorist organizations in the world. Implementing one of its most strategic plans on the 21st of July in 2006, the LTTE closed the Mavilaru Dam to weaken the farming community in the eastern province. It was then the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa initiated a large-scale humanitarian mission to reclaim the province. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa led the mission with the dedicated support of former Commander of the Army, Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, former Commander of the Navy, Admiral Wasantha Karannagoda, former Commander of the Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Roshan Gunatilaka, Commanding Officer and Civil Defence Force Rear Admiral Sarath Weerasekara, and former Inspector General of Police Jayantha Vikramaratne. Sri Lankan Defence Forces were able to reclaim the eastern province during this mission while inflicting major defeats on the LTTE with the yield of powerful LTTE centres such as Toppigala, Sampur and Vakare. Following these defeats, the angered LTTE then carried out attacks throughout the island, for which they also used their air, naval and infantry powers. Members of the LTTE even joined hands with civil society organizations to create a negative image of the Sri Lankan government, claiming it is responsible for massacres in the northern province. It was in this backdrop that the Defence Forces initiated the Vanni humanitarian mission to reclaim the northern province. The decisive mission claimed the lives of hundreds and disabled just as many. 2 years and 10 months after the commencement of the Vanni humanitarian mission, Defence Forces of Sri Lanka was able to secure the northern province of the country, which suffered the deepest of wounds owing to the decades-long war. The biggest challenge the Defence Forces faced during the latter part of the mission was seeing to the end of the war while saving the lives of 5,000 civilians who were used as a human shield by the LTTE leader. However, the bravery by the nation's defence forces saw the successful completion of the world's largest hostage rescue mission. After 30 years and at a cost of thousands of lives, Velupillai Prabhakaran was killed by the army forces in a battlefield in Vellamullai, Vaikal. Thus, 18th of May made an indelible mark in Sri Lanka's history as the day the country was liberated from the clutches of terrorism, with a military defeat, a feat unparalleled in the world. Thus, 18th of May made an indelible mark in Sri Lanka's history as the day the country was liberated from the clutches of terrorism with a military defeat, a feat unparalleled in the world.
The role Sri Lanka's military forces played in ending the brutal war along with the police and the civil defence force is unforgettable. It is their dedication and selfless bravery which made the defeat of the LTTE a reality, enabling the people of this country to enjoy the luxury of peace without prejudice. First at 9 spoke to the leaders of the tri-forces who gave military leadership to the humanitarian missions which brought liberation.
The Tri-Forces, the police, the Civil Defence Force and all the war heroes worked with dedication. Around 29,000 war heroes sacrificed their lives and a similar number of war heroes are disabled. This sacrifice was done for the people of this country to live in peace. While learning lessons from the past, it's important to ensure such situations won't arise in the future.
On this day, we will remember the war heroes who laid their lives, who made the supreme sacrifice and who did their duty on behalf of the nation with a lot of respect and honor for them. I am satisfied and humble that I was able to plan, conduct, command these war heroes during the final battle which eradicated the terrorism from this country after 32 years. We must also remember the parents and the relatives and the loved ones of these war heroes, and we will always hold them in very high esteem.
Here I must also remember the former President, His Excellency Mahinda Rajapaksa, whose strong leadership and his strong leadership and the Secretary of Defence Gotabaya Rajapaksa, his administration of the three services and the police and the STF were also very big factors for us to win this humanitarian operation. I think now the main task is the reconciliation, which is easily said, but it's a difficult task to perform because from the armed forces and from the south there are many people who have paid with their lives. And also from in the north, some Tamil people also have died. There's a lot of anger in people. Actually, this anger has to come out of the people for the reconciliation to take place in a very meaningful way. Prabhakaran and his terrorist group actually forcefully took a lot of people to do their fighting. So I think there has to be an opportunity for that anger and that sadness also to come out of these people. When this happens, I think reconciliation can take place successfully.
Many international military experts said that LTT cannot be defeated, but everybody as a team we were able to defeat. All the rest of us, the present day population, we enjoyed this freedom as a result of those people sacrificed their lives or limbs for our betterment. I urge the population of this country and the government to look after the families of those who made the supreme sacrifice and also to look after those who are disabled. And I also would like to take this opportunity to thank all the armed forces men for giving their maximum to defeat the LTT, even I would say more than the 1948 freedom, and this is a very remarkable achievement in the recent history of our country.
All preparations are in place for the National War Heroes Commemoration Day tomorrow. The end of the 30-year-long war will be remembered tomorrow at the War Heroes Memorial at the parliamentary premises. Meanwhile, various events were held across the island today commemorating war heroes.
President Maithripala Sirisena took to Twitter today to express his deepest gratitude for the war heroes. Rehearsals were held today ahead of the National War Heroes Commemoration Ceremony at the War Heroes Memorial at the parliamentary premises tomorrow, which will be worked off under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena. Victory celebrations meanwhile were held at several army camps today. A special event was held at the War Heroes Memorial at the regimental headquarters of the Gajaba Regiment in Anuradhapura today, commemorating war heroes. Meanwhile, a war hero commemoration ceremony was held at the Security Forces headquarters of Vanni under the patronage of Commander of Security Forces for Vanni, Major General Kumudu Pereira. Meanwhile, the first ever school war heroes museum was declared open by the Anunayak of the Malwatha chapter, Most Venerable Niyangoda Vijitha Siritera at Kingswood College in Kandy today.
If we are to properly understand the meaning of the country's peace process, we need to respect and commemorate war heroes. It is wrong and unfair to reject these commemoration ceremonies. We shouldn't do it under any kind of pressure. On the other hand, the Education Minister of the Northern Provincial Council says that we should commemorate Prabhakaran. Why should we, when he was a dangerous terrorist? Why should we even remember a cruel person like that in schools?
Meanwhile, Jatika Hela Urume also organised a war hero commemoration ceremony today at the Attiriya Mihindu Seth Madura in Colombo. It was worked off under the auspices of Venerable O Malpe Sobita Thera and Minister Patali Champika Ranavaka. A floral tribute was organised at the War Heroes Memorial in Panadura today by the National Freedom Front under the patronage of its leader, Parliamentarian Vimal Veeravansa.
Meanwhile, the main event to commemorate Tamil nationals who lost their lives during the war was held in Vellamullivaikal in Mullathur today. Flags were seen lowered to half-mast at schools across the northern province following instructions by the Provincial Education Minister.
The Northern Provincial Council recently passed the proposal to name a week of genocide from the 14th of May to the 20th to remember Tamil nationals who died during the war. Today was also declared a day of mourning within the Northern Province. It was under this backdrop that students of the University of Jaffna commemorated those who died during the war. The main ceremony was held under the patronage of Chief Minister of the Northern Province, C.V. Vigneswaran. Families of the Tamils who lost lives during the war as well as students were seen participating in the event today.
I wish to move a few resolutions and expect all of you to support them. They are: 1. From this year onwards, every 18th of May in the coming years must be identified as Tamil Genocide Day. 2. The international community without delay should set up an international strategic mechanism to ensure justice for the people affected. It is our desire that the armed forces must withdraw from our areas of traditional habitation.
Some are spreading false rumours saying that we are commemorating members of the LTTE. There's a Mahaviru Day named for the 27th of November for that. But that isn't what we're doing here. We ask Sinhalese leaders not to make these statements and push us to the limit of holding a referendum in the Northern Province with the approval of the United Nations.
Meanwhile, soldiers attached to the 681 Brigade of the Army offered refreshments in Pudukudirippu to the public who participated in the main celebration. Meanwhile, other Derana reporters said that following instructions by Education Minister of the Northern Province, Kandaiya Sarveswaran, many schools within the province had lowered their school flags to half-mast in lieu of the day. Shops were seen closed at several cities in the province, including in Jaffna, to mark the day.
The organisation dubbed Satya Gaveshakyo today filed a case against Cabinet co-spokesperson Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne and the Education Minister of the Northern Province. The cases were filed claiming their action aroused disharmony among ethnicities.
The organisation Satya Gaveshakyo filed 2 cases before the Inspector General of Police today. The first against Cabinet co-spokesperson Dr. Rajitha Senaratne for making provocative statements that arouse disharmony among various ethnicities. The other against Minister of Education in the Northern Province Kandaiya Sarveswaran, who decided to lower the national flag to half-mast. In the meantime, remarks made by Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne drew various opinion from politicians today.
If you can't praise the victory in the war, keep quiet. Today they speak for the LTTE terrorists. Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim communities live freely today because of the liberation won by war heroes. What we understand from what Minister Rajitha Senaratne says is that he became a witness in the cause to undermine the war in Geneva. We question the government as to whether it accepts this statement. The LTTE is their relation. When a thief or a murderer dies, we remember them and engage in religious observances, but we see more of a political move in this action. It was those so-called children referred to by Rajitha Senaratne who killed the fathers of Sajit Premadasa and Navin Dissanayake. It was those children who killed innocent devotees who were in front of the Sri Mahabodhi and attacked the temple of the tooth relic of Lord Buddha.
Today being the National War Heroes Day, we express our gratitude to the armed forces and the security establishment that pioneered the defeat of terrorism and thereby secure the territorial integrity, sovereignty, political independence and democracy of Sri Lanka.
There is a great difference between certain measures taken by the LTTE terrorists and JVP. LTTE committed crimes considered as war crimes by the international community, such as murdering civilians, chasing them away from villages, using people as a human shield. We completely deny the fact that civilians were killed by our security forces. We see it as an unfair statement made to the forces and the people of the country. Today is an important day. Terrorism was defeated and the war ended. We should remember all those who were dedicated to give leadership to Triforces and people who lost their lives since the beginning of this war. We insist the President of this country, as the Chief of the Triforces, to make a statement that what Rajitha Seenaratne said is wrong. We don't accept it. If someone lights up a candle in remembrance of their beloved, I can't say it's wrong. I don't know if those who celebrate are civilians or terrorists. We see the celebration of terrorism, which is buried, as aiding terrorism.
I don't think that the LTT, which is considered as one of the most cruel terrorist organizations in the world, should be commemorated. Whatever the stance of the party is, I refuse the notion of empowering such an organization.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back, everyone. On to other local stories we have for you tonight. The Department of Meteorology yet again moved to caution the public today over heavy rains and thunder activity. It said heavy showers and thunder showers associated with sudden increase of wind speeds in sea areas of the coast extending from Puttalam to Batticaloa via Colombo can be expected. Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Centre requests the public to be vigilant over rising water levels of rivers.
Issuing a weather advisory yesterday, the Department of Meteorology said due to a low-level atmospheric disturbance in the vicinity of Sri Lanka associated with intertropical convergence zone, cloudy and showery conditions are expected over most parts of the island. Speaking to Derana today, Director of the Meteorological Department, Atula Karunanayaka, stated that heavy showers can be expected in the provinces of Western, Sabaragamuwa, Southern and Central as well as Uva in the foreseeable future.
Heavy rains can be expected in Western, Sabaragamuwa, Southern, Central as well as Uva provinces. Thunder showers and intermittent showers can be expected in deep and shallow seas in coastal areas from Puttalam to Batticaloa via Colombo. Seas can turn rough during such situations. We can expect heavy showers during next week owing to southwest monsoon.
In the meantime, both spill gates of the tank Kalavavu are now open by 10 feet owing to the rising water level. Kalaoya has now overflowing and several roads in the area are inundated while transportation is disrupted. All 6 spill gates of the Dadaruoya reservoir is also open owing to heavy rains.
According to the information given by the Meteorological Department, they have informed us there is a big rainfall in North Central and Northwestern provinces, and we were alert from yesterday onwards. We opened the operation room in the headquarters, and we are working 24 hours on the operation room. About 2 days ago, the Veeragala, that is in the Hambantota district, the water level came up to 200 millimeter below the full supply level, and we started opening in 2 days ago in the midnight, and after informing to the public and divisional secretary and the Kacheri. Today in the noon we have closed the radial gates of the Veeragala reservoirs because there is no rain in the upstream catchment. In the Deduruya we started open the radial gates and all the sluice gates and the 6 radial gates in the Deduruya reservoirs. Today we observed there is a less rainfall, so we may close the gates by tomorrow or day after in the Deduruya reservoir. But in Ampara district, the Rambukanoya reservoir rised very high and it came closer to the full supply level. So to maintain the satisfactory level, we opened 2 gates, Rambukanoya. We are not alerting the public at this moment, but officers are fully alert on 24 hours.
Still, there is very bad weather conditions is prevailing in the country. All the people who are living beside the rivers need to be very vigilant with that downstream areas, considering the river levels in southwestern part of the country. Kaluganga, Ginganga and Kalaniganga and Nilwala Ganga. Still, there is no any danger level, but if rain continues in such manner, the irrigation departments warn the communities to be very vigilant. There is no any landslide warning being issued so far, but all the communities will be notified, alerted in risky areas, mountainous areas, as well as the landslide prone areas. If any signs of the landslide being observed, they need to take immediate action for that situation. Disaster Management Centre is working with the military and the police continuously in 24-hour basis.
The Work to Rule trade union action launched by Sri Lankan Immigration and Immigration Officers Association was temporarily called off today. The association's chairman Kanugala said that it was called off based on an assurance given in writing by the Minister of Internal Affairs, Wildlife Development and Cultural Affairs, S.B. Navinna. Flight passengers were severely plagued due to the work to rule strike action launched from midnight yesterday, citing several demands, including the formation of a new constitution. The group of 16 who withdrew from the National Unity Government said today that the president is partial to withdrawing the Sri Lanka Freedom Party from the government. Convening a media briefing today, they said that during the Central Committee meeting held yesterday, the president asked the party to come up with a date to withdraw from the government. Meanwhile, General Secretaries of the SLFP and the UPF expressed their views on yesterday's Central Committee meeting.
The Central Committee meeting was held as usual and we extensively spoke about party reforms. Accordingly, by the 30th of August, a full restructuring within the party will take place. Temporary office bearers should be appointed since there is a group of the SLFP sitting in the opposition. There are 3 or 4 of them and that's an issue. When they asked us to leave, we questioned them as to where will we go and what we would do. A group said that they would stand separately, but some of them are now making various statements that's not appropriate. Steps have been taken to remove office bearers on the 3rd of June. The president, in his capacity as the leader of the party, stated yesterday to come up with a date to withdraw from the government. The reason behind this is that the SLFP doesn't have a future within this government.
On to business news now. The International Monetary Fund backed Sri Lanka's recent decision to introduce a fuel pricing formula, noting that it would benefit the country and the economy if implemented properly. IMF spokesperson Jerry Rice told reporters in Washington that the IMF feels the automatic fuel pricing mechanism marks a major step towards completing energy pricing reforms that are underway in Sri Lanka. Last month, IMF said its board was expected to consider Sri Lanka's request for completion of the 4th review of its 3-year extended fund facility program by June this year, subjected to an automatic fuel pricing mechanism. And last week, the government raised fuel prices after Cabinet approved a mechanism to adjust petroleum prices based on cost of production.
There's a question on Sri Lanka on the fuel pricing mechanism. So we think that automatic fuel pricing mechanism makes a major step toward completing the energy pricing reforms that are underway in Sri Lanka and minimises the fiscal risks. If implemented properly, the formula-based pricing will eliminate fuel subsidies that benefit the rich rather than the poor. We think it would benefit Sri Lanka and the economy. And I can tell you our board is scheduled to discuss Sri Lanka's completion of its 4th review on June the 1st. Our colleague in New York, Matthew Lee, has a number of questions. I can't take them all.
Let's take you to the stock market now. Colombo equities were higher at the close of trade today, with the all-share price index ending 0.29% firmer at 6,492.06, its highest close since the 4th of May. Market turnover was at 433.3 million rupees, less than half of this year's daily average of 998.6 million rupees. Foreign investors sold equities worth a net 51.4 million rupees, extending the year-to-date net foreign outflow of 798.8 million rupees worth of shares. Let's now cross over to Stefan D'Alvis from NDB Securities for a detailed report on how the market performed during this week.
During the week, the ASPI gained 0.2%. Similarly, the S&P SL20 increased by 0.18%. The average daily turnover for the week was down from last week to 525 million rupees. Furthermore, foreigners remained active for the week, closing as net sellers, where foreign sales accounted for 54% of the total weekly turnover. A net foreign outflow of nearly 463 million rupees was recorded for the week. Out of the weekly turnover, block trades accounted for nearly 29%, which was a lower proportion than last week.
premier news channel of the Derana 24/7.
Let's move on to international news now. At least 10 people are dead after a shooting at a Texas high school, which is now on lockdown. According to school officials, one person is in custody after the attack at the Santa Fe High School, about 65 kilometers south of Houston. The school's district has confirmed people were injured in an active shooter incident as classes began this morning. Police in Malaysia say that they have seized hundreds of boxes of luxury items and handbags full of foreign currency from properties linked to former Prime Minister Najib Razak. The raids on properties across the capital, Kuala Lumpur, were related to investigations into State Development Fund I1MDB. Corruption claims against 1MDB were a major cause of Najib's election loss to his former ally Mahathir Mohamad.
Malaysian police seized 284 boxes containing designer handbags and dozens of bags filled with cash and jewellery from a private residence linked to former Prime Minister Najib Razak yesterday morning. Police said the items were carted out of a luxury condominium during pre-dawn hours and included jewellery, watches and other valuables. Police have carried out raids on 6 premises which include the Prime Minister's office and the Prime Minister's official residence and 4 private residences linked to the former Premier. The raids are related to an investigation into a multi-billion scandal involving the Najib-founded state fund, One Malaysia Development Berhad, where billions of dollars are unaccounted for. Najib himself was alleged to have pocketed $70 million, which he has always denied. He has been cleared by Malaysian authorities but is being investigated by several other countries. Malaysia's newly elected Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad has said he is considering reopening the case and that he believes the missing money can be recovered. He has barred Najib and his wife from leaving the country. At least 6 countries, including the United States, are investigating 1MDB.
On to sports now. Royal Challengers Bangalore defeated table-topper Sunrisers Hyderabad by 14 runs in their must-win Indian Premier League match at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru yesterday. The victory kept RCB's playoff hopes alive as they jumped to 5th in the standings with 12 points from 13 games. And the impact of the thriller made cricket experts comment Royal Challengers Bangalore and Sunrisers Hyderabad perhaps deliver the match of the season.
For the last home game in Bengaluru. Oh, just walked across.
After being put into bat, Royal Challengers Bangalore's AB de Villiers and Moeen Ali both scored half-centuries and put on a 100-run stand, while Colin de Grandhomme also chipped in with a quick-fire 40 to take RCB to a mammoth 218 for 6 in their allotted 20 overs. Basil Thampi conceded the most runs in a 4-over spell in IPL history, giving away 70 runs. The record was previously held by Ishant Sharma playing for Sunrisers against Chennai Super Kings. Chasing 219, the Sunrisers got off to a decent start as they reached 47 in 5 overs. Shikhar Dhawan then departed for 18 runs. AB de Villiers, showcasing his superb athleticism, pulled off one of the all-time greatest catches of the IPL to dismiss Alex Hales, who seemed unstoppable, sitting on 37 off 24 balls.
Wow! How the hell do you do that?
Sooner, Williamson and Manish Pandey started thrashing the RCB bowlers as the duo shared a 135-run partnership. But Williamson's wicket on the first ball of the last over turned the match in RCB's favour as Mohammad Siraj defended 20 off the last over and Hyderabad ended with 204 for 3, handing RCB a 14-run victory.
Look at the celebrations before Williamson got out.
A bit of tennis. Novak Djokovic secured his first quarter-final appearance of the season by defeating Albert Ramos Vignolas yesterday at the Italian Open in Rome.
Novak Djokovic sealed a place in the Italian Open quarter-finals after getting past Spaniard Albert Ramos Vignolas in straight sets yesterday. The Serbian won 6-1, 7-5 to set up a meeting with Japan's Kei Nishikori in the quarter-finals, his first of the season. Meanwhile, German Alexander Zverev needed 8 match points to eventually get past Briton Kyle Edmund 7-5, 7-6. Croatian Marin Cilic also advanced to the last 8 after a commanding 6-3, 6-4 win against Frenchman Benoit Paire. He will play Spain's Pablo Carreño Busta in the next round. Tournament favourite world number 2 Rafael Nadal also came through against Canadian teenager Denis Shapovalov 6-4, 6-1 to set up a last 8 battle against Fabio Fognini. In the meantime, 5th seed Juan Martín del Potro was forced to retire with Belgium's David Goffin, progressing to a quarter-finals meeting with 2nd seed Alexander Zverev.
Here's Manusha with the weather.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Looking at your temperatures for the next 24 hours now, the eastern belt of the country will be the warmest, with the likes of Jaffna, Trincomalee, Batticaloa reaching 30 degrees Celsius. The rest of the country will stay much cooler, including Colombo, with the temperatures hovering just over mid-20s. Moving towards the centre of the country, the hills will be much milder as always. As for rain, all parts of the country is set to get some rain at some point during the day tomorrow, especially in the afternoon, with Colombo likely to be hit with heavy falls accompanied by some thunder activity. Thunder showers are likely in Kandy, Galle, Batticaloa and Anuradhapura as well. That's it from your weather centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Ada Derana 24/7, Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Enjoy the weekend. Good night.